This is Michael Rizzo. In our first adventure in Linux, we're going to be setting up a basic headless server. We're going to be doing Ubuntu, but these basic steps will also work for CentOS, and that's really about it for that. So our first step is we're going to boot off of our ISO, choose our language, configure the keyboard, set the keyboard up, let it load all the hardware. Choose your network interface that you're going to be starting with. You can always add the second one later. It's going to auto-configure the network and give it about a minute. It should be done. Next, you're going to set the name of your system. Choose that to be whatever you want. Next, you're going to set the name of the mirror and what country you want to be in. Give that about 30 seconds to load. And then we're on to the next step of the process. Once that's done, you're going to set the name of the user, make it whatever you want to be, hit enter, choose your username, hit enter. Next, you're going to choose your password, make it a good password, re-enter it to confirm, click yes to continue. Now we set the time up for the Ubuntu server. It should automatically detect your time zone, but if it doesn't, follow the install guide and follow its directions to set the time up. Next, we get to partition your system. This one will be different with logical volume management, to where you can use multiple disks, combine into one, and create partitions off that. So first, you're going to delete all your volumes if you have any. Let that go. Then once you have a fresh LVM set up, you're going to do a set of volume group. Make that where you want it to be. Choose all the disks you want to add. Then once your volume group is created, you're going to create a logical volume for your boot, root, and swap partitions that you traditionally use. So make the name simple and put the amounts for each partition you want in. Follow the instructions. Just keep going till you're done. This is a traditional Linux install with boot, root, and swap. Now go under each LVM. Now go under each group you created and just set the mount options and the file systems that you want to use, following the directions on the installer. And continue this till you're done. Choose your options. And once you're done, just write finish partitioning, write changes to the disk, and then the installer will do all the options you told it to do, and then we'd be on to the next step of the process. Now we're installing the base system. And you're going to go through the installer. It's going to take about 25 minutes. There's no point in showing it. We now have a fresh install that's just started. And right now we're setting up the virtual network adapter EMP-OS8 so we can SSH in and do Webmin and go from there. This is written in YAML, so just look at the tutorial on how to set your network up and follow that. And then we'll go on to the next step. And after this, we'll be setting up SSH and Webmin. I'll show you how to do everything all in this video. Follow it, you should have everything set up rather quickly. Right now we're just setting up the new interface so we can access this virtual machine remotely. The steps will be the same if you were on a physical system with multiple network cards. This guy's for Ubuntu. It might be in another distribution the same way, but you know, follow the guide for your distribution. Steps should be pretty similar. Let's go from there and you should be set. So what we've just done, we've set up our virtual network with its IP address, its gateway to access the IP address, and right now we're setting up DNS servers so we tell it that this thing actually does exist. And once we're done, we run sudo netplan apply to apply all the settings. And now we're going to check our internet. We have an IP address showing, it means we set this up correctly. That all looks good. We're on to the next step. And this one I had to change a few settings for the networking to be correct, so we did it right. And it shouldn't take more than a few tries to get it working all the way. Then after that we can do the next step. Now, once we have the IP address set up and everything working, we can now set up so we can SSH into the system. What we're going to do is set up the server, make sure it's listed on the right ports, right IP addresses, change it from port 22 to something else so no hackers get in. And then we'll do the next step. It's showing around port 22. We want it to be a different port. Don't use your preferred text error. Go to etc/ssh/sshd _config or ssh config. You want to go to the line for port. If you're changing its defaults, uncomment it. Change the port number to the number you want. and save the file. Next, you want to go to etc/ssh/sshd-config and change that port line to the port you set in the previous file. So in this case, we're changing port 22 to port 2020. And in the SSH config file, the comment has to be there. In SSHD, the comment gets removed if you're changing the default port, so just keep that in mind, and SSH should be done in a few minutes. Next, we're checking the status. It still says port 22, so we're going to restart the SSHD service. And spell it right, and we should get a status telling us everything we need to know. We're going to put our password to restart. Next, we're going to check the status again. We're listening on port 2020, so we have it set up correctly, which is good. So now we're going to be on to the next step. Next, we're going to set Webmin up, and this you can manage your remote system from a web interface, assuming you have the proper connections to it. It should be fine. You can do anything you can from here as you can in the command line. Anything you want: system packages, updating software, configuring networking, all that good stuff. Makes it very convenient and easy for an end user to manage. So we're going to change the SSH server. We can change the authentication style and make any change we want to. It even has a built-in command line, which is always a good thing to have. Shows you everything you want to know about your system. And right now we're updating packages, so it says you have 13 packages available, so we're going to update it. This will look the same in Ubuntu, CentOS, it doesn't matter, it's a one consistent interface across multiple Linux distributions, and it's going to update it all in a web interface. It's going to download the packages, check for dependencies, install it, clean up the old packages, make sure everything's set correctly, and that's about it, really. So I'm going to go through all that and do all the hard work for you. Anytime I do a Linux system, I always set up Webmin first. Makes adding stuff, taking stuff away so much easier. Easy to manage. Couldn't recommend Webmin more. It's a great piece of software. And the install is complete. And once it's done, they'll say it's been completed, and that's just one of the many uses. You could search for new software, install other software, uninstall software. Just within the software packages, there's other modules you can enable and set different ports and all sorts of stuff. You can check your firewall settings, restart services. Webmin's power is amazing. You can add users, change passwords, check processes.